Welcome to this special edition of World Business. Green energy, green innovation and energy transition are key elements of Azerbaijan's National Strategy 2030. And as we heard at COP29, finance is a critical linchpin when it comes to accelerating climate action. Well, the country's state energy company SOCAR has been increasing its focus on renewable initiatives, and finance is playing an important part. Recently, the organisation issued green bonds aimed at supporting a wide range of renewable energy projects. I went along to SOCAR headquarters to meet Vice President Zaur Gurbanov to find out more. Mr. Gurbanov, thank you very much for inviting us into this amazing office here at SOCAR in Baku. I'd like to start by asking you, what is the significance of bonds in the modern financial market?
Thank you very much for the question. And first, I would like to welcome you here at SOCAR Tower building. As per the question, if I provide my opinion in a short way, then it's very important to have a bonds in any company's loan portfolio. There are many reasons behind that, but I will try to summarize based on the experience we have at SOCAR. So if we look at the example of the big companies in any value chain in a global scale with the international operations and relations, they usually try to capture the development opportunities in the market. And therefore, they are trying to develop the investment projects, the large capital projects, and include it into their mid-term and long-term investment plans. But to be sure that the projects are implemented on time and successfully, it requires the identification of the funding sources as one of the key directions. So this is important for these companies to secure their market presence, at the same time even to increase their market share and the profitability. So along with the utilization of their own cash, the companies usually tries to get external funding. This in turn makes the bonds favorable with their conditions to both parties, the bond issuers and bondholders, in many aspects. So usually bonds has a longer period, and it is easier to get the sufficient amount. Usually it fits with the long-term investment plans of the companies. Therefore, it's important.
How are bonds issued and traded then? Can you tell us something about that process?
Bonds by definition is the security note. It is being issued by the companies, and as a security note, it's being traded in the market, and investors, if they are their investment plans are aligned with the issued bonds, they invest these bonds. Of course, when we describe it, it seems simple, but it's not quite simple. It's a quite difficult process when the issuer should transparently report their financial and non-financial results. The reports should be audited. There are certain requirements in different markets towards to the bonds, and if the companies are fulfilled all these obligations, then the investors, considering their investment portfolios, invest to these bonds.
What are the benefits to bondholders, and how has that role changed and developed in recent times?
As I mentioned, this is a security note. If we make it very simple, it is near to mix of shares and bank loans, but of course there are the certain different aspects of it. So the usual bonds, before to issue the bonds, the companies providing the certain campaigns, road shows, with the investors, potential investors, and trying to describe and disclose their investment plans, strategic goals, and etc. At the same time, bonds provides the rights to the bondholders to get the interest income. Usually, it's being based on the fixed interest rate. But at the same time, the bondholders has a right to get the nominal value or equivalent value of the bonds at the maturity date of the bonds. Apart from this, the bondholders has an option, usually they have this option, to sell the bonds in the secondary market to other investors, which helps them to get the amount they paid back if something is changed in their investment portfolio or they have certain cash requirements.
What steps has SOCAR taken when it comes to bond issuance, and what's been the impact?
The SOCAR also followed all these requirements for the issuance of the bonds. If you may know, SOCAR issued 6 bonds during last 15 years, 3 in the international market, 3 in the local market. In the international market, the amount of the overall issued bonds was 2.2 billion US dollars. 2 of them was matured, and all obligations are fulfilled in front of the investors. The interest payment made on time and the nominal value or equivalent value of the bonds were paid back to the investors. Now we have 1 bond in the international market which is circulating, and having seen the strong interest from the investors, we are planning to issue the new bond in Europe, in other countries as well, other financial markets as well. We are now reviewing the potential opportunities in these markets, but as well as we are also trying to consider the green element within the issuance of these bonds.
How does SOCAR manage its bond portfolio, and what's the importance of bonds when it comes to being part of a wider strategy, a wider financing tool?
Yes, sure. SOCAR, at the SOCAR, we are trying to centrally review and prioritize our loan portfolio. We have all required documentations and the procedures, like we have a debt management strategy, debt management procedures, policies, and etc. Considering the limits established by these documents, we are continuously review our debt portfolio, trying to prioritize the potential funding with our strategic goals and the investment plans. So first priority for us to fulfill all financial and non-financial obligations in front of our partners and the investors. And it helps us to be strong in the market, which also proved by the exceeding demand against our bonds, the amounts which we try to cover by bonds.
I want to talk now about the significance of green bonds and the role that the green bond plays in SOCAR's wider strategy.
Yeah, if we go back and review when this all started, we see that overall green agenda started to be prioritized since 1970s when Environment Protection Agency was established in US, and several related initiatives was proposed. As a logical continuation of this, the green financing also emerged. First green bond was issued by European Investment Bank in 2007. Afterwards, we see the big circulation of the green bonds in the financial markets. If you look at SOCAR perspective, few years ago, the energy transition or green agenda was linked to SOCAR corporate strategy. But a few years ago, when we updated our strategy, the green agenda or energy transition has become the integral part of our strategy. So going forward, we established a separate business segment responsible for energy transition, environment, and decarbonization. And afterwards, we gathered all our participation in different companies, SOCAR subsidiaries and JVs, providing the ecological services under this segment, and established completely new company, SOCAR Green, to be engaged in such projects. For SOCAR, of course, we are now the energy company, but we have a traditional oil and gas business as well. In parallel, with that segment, we are going to invest to low carbon businesses. This will become the main target of SOCAR Green company, and also decarbonize our existing assets and businesses through our service companies. So therefore, now the green agenda is very important for SOCAR as well, for the country as well, and we decided to go and to take the next step to issue the green bond, first in Azerbaijan, for the financing of these particular green projects only. But as a continuation, we will go to the international financial markets for the green bonds or green element to be, the conventional bond with the green elements in that market as well.
We live in very uncertain times. Getting the confidence of investors is always key. So much information now exists out there. How does SOCAR go about securing investor confidence when it comes to bond issuance?
Yes, the bond is part of SOCAR overall loan portfolio, and within loan portfolio, based on our internal procedures and documents, we are prioritizing our loans against the investment projects. Of course, as I mentioned before, all bond issuers should transparently report all their financial and non-financial results in their financial statements and other required reports. And these reports should be audited by a reputable audit company, which SOCAR did and continue to do the same. And all our results are publicly announced and are in our website, so investors can easily track the SOCAR's financial results, SOCAR investment plans, and strategic goals. Apart from this, SOCAR also get the credit ratings high and stable from major credit agencies. Almost all agencies provided the similar stable ratings. Recently, we also got ESG rating. It's also BBB, which means the investment grade rating. So all these are transparently communicated to the investors, and investors can easily track the SOCAR's results, which will make them comfortable to invest to SOCAR bonds.
The world's changing all the time. Tell us about the future of SOCAR's bond issuance strategy.
Good. Bonds has many advantages to any big companies. We can make certain examples, like usually bonds has a longer period of maturity. Moreover, usual bonds has a stable or fixed rates. Bonds can be, the volume of the funding can be increased to meet the investment projects of the company if we compare it with the bank loans. So all these elements make the bonds attractive and favorable for the companies. Considering this, we also, within our strategy, we also try to make a balance of bank loans against the bonds when we want to make it balanced and stable. It means that we will continue to go to the international markets and local markets by issuing the bonds, of course considering all strict requirements set in these markets by modern international legal and financial standards.
And talking about the green bond specifically, it'd be great to dive into some of the detail. Can you talk to me about interest rate and payment structures of that product?
If we are talking about particular green bond which is recently executed in the domestic market, the interest rate is 6% annual. It is also mentioned in the pre-issuance campaign of the bonds and also all bond-related documents like the prospect of bonds. The payment will be made quarterly from SOCAR directly to the bank accounts of the bondholders. But the end of the period, I mean at the maturity date, which is the 5 years period, the bondholders will have a right to get the nominal value they paid when they invested to the bonds. Of course, they have an option to go to the secondary market to sell their bonds. And if you look at the history in foreign, I mean the international and local market, we see the big track records of the secondary market of SOCAR bonds as well. So there are still demands, which means that the investor has a chance to go to the second market and to sell their bonds if they need, if they require the cash or they change their investment portfolio. As per the revenue of the bondholders, particular bond income are exempt from tax. So, which means that bondholders will get pure interest income without paying any taxes.
Mr. Gabanov, thank you for inviting us in and to going into so much detail for our viewers today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.